Here we go.
Good save.
Carlos Orozco is finding the Frankenmutter to be much more challenging than other 5K events he's participated in. An athlete in high school, he used his size on the baseball diamond until his body started failing under his 300-pound weight.
It just became very labor intensive. You know, the heavier I got, the more injuries I would get, you know, things like that. So that's when it really started to become an issue. So.
Family doctors never took him to task on his weight gain, which soon topped 500 pounds.
Doctors would talk to me about it, but you know, it was always the you need to lose weight conversation. You need to lose weight, but nothing really like you need to lose weight or this is going to happen or this is going to happen. You know, and then as I started getting older is when I started to see serious health issues and conditions come into play with it. Things like blood infections, like cellulitis, ulcers in the legs. Gout was a huge thing for me. There were times when the gout would get so severe that I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't put any weight on my feet or ankles or whatsoever.
Swelling in his legs caused his skin to break open, which had to be closed at the Covenant Wound Center. Sometimes those visits were twice a week, and a doctor finally shared how serious the situation was.
The wound doctors there were like, you know, this is great, you're coming, you're being proactive about it, but all we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on these things. You need to lose the weight, and obviously what we've been doing isn't working, so we need to consider the bariatric surgery to make you lose the weight, or the ulcers are going to get worse, you know, and it's going to be a never-ending problem.
Caregivers referred Carlos to Covenant's Bariatric Center, where he learned just how big his problem was.
My primary care physician, we had a scale, but it was never big enough to weigh me. So I always thought I was around 450, 500 pounds. And when I went and saw Dr. Ringley, I got on their scale, which was a larger digital one, and I got on it, and I saw it go past 450, go up to 500, and it just kept running. And I saw it stop at 651.8. And I got off it and got back on it, and it read it again. And I'm like, that's 100 pounds more than what I thought it was at. And it took a lot for me to stay composed at that time, because it kind of like reality hit me all at once.
At 38 years old, his future didn't look very bright. The doctor didn't pull any punches when he gave his outlook.
Dr. Ringley was one of the first who really was that straightforward with me, was that blunt with me, and I think that's what I needed to hear finally. And we decided that yes, there was no other alternatives. We need to do this. So that's that day I broke and changed absolutely everything that I had done up until that point. I went cold turkey completely. No more fast food, fried foods, breads, alcohol, carbonated, anything. I just cut it all out completely.
Carlos found inspiration in his 8X wardrobe that he wore during his first visit to the Bariatric Center.
I would wear the same clothes I went in on my first meeting with Ringley. I wore those every month, so I could start seeing the difference every single time. And I think that was a big motivation for me to do that. All right, you know, my appointment's in 2 days. I have to be less. I have to, you know, come in lighter than what I was at. And I get up that morning, shower, and put those same clothes on, like, oh, they're bigger.
100 pounds faded away before surgery, a laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy that removed 3/4 of his stomach. He was put on a restrictive diet and encouraged to exercise. Carlos started off at home and then on a friend's recommendation went to a Saginaw gym for a group exercise class.
I really didn't think I was going to be able to do what was going to be asked of me, and struggled through it, got through it, and haven't missed one since, you know.
We're proud of you. Keep pushing. Time for b-ball, bro. Stronger than yesterday.
If they had a class, Carlos signed up for it. Boot camp, circuit training, spinning, each visit with about 1,000 calories burned.
Automatically, his weight started dropping, and every time we would talk, he's like, okay, I've dropped even more weight. I dropped even 5 more pounds this week. I can't stop losing weight.
Are you ready? I want 1 lap in a circle in this parking lot. Go.
Carlos says the hardest part was saying goodbye to the bad vices in life, alcohol and fast food. He admits to a new addiction now at the gym.
It's more of my vice now, coming to work out, coming to exercise, rather than the eating, than the drinking. I come here when my dad passed away. I found out at work, and my immediate reaction, I left work, and instead of going home or going anywhere else, I came here.
Let's go!
It didn't take long before people at the gym wanted to know his secret. He admits at first he didn't want to say surgery because it was perceived as the easy way. There's nothing easy about his journey.
Once I started sharing my story with local news here, and I did a couple of local news segments, and then I was nominated for the Governor's Fitness Award, which I ended up winning a few months ago. And shortly after that was contacted by the Today Show. They had seen, I had articles in People magazine and in Runner's World, and they'd contacted me about possibly going down to New York to do an interview.
His trip to Manhattan humbles him, but it wasn't his favorite. He says a roller coaster park in Ohio brought much more excitement.
I was able to go to Cedar Point for the first time. I'd been there as a child, but was never, either one, scared to ride the rides, or too big to fit in the seats. And they had convinced me to go, and I went down there, and I was able to ride a roller coaster for the first time in my life. Not only did I ride them, we rode all 15. We stayed there for about 11 hours, rode every single roller coaster, and had the time of my life. I got off the first one, and I had tears in my eyes, and everybody thought, what's wrong? Are you okay? Are you scared? I'm like, no. I said, I'm happy.
300-foot-tall rides are just the beginning as Carlos removes the barriers that were once restricting his life.
There's no more, him and hawing. Let's go. Let's do it. Why not? Now, I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do, a lot of life that I missed out on these past, the years that I was the size I was. So I feel that I have to take advantage of every opportunity that I have.
Surgery was the turning point for Carlos, but after losing 475 pounds, he finds a lot of it was in his head.
For me, it was a more mental process than anything. Change your life completely. Getting your brain and your body to cooperate was one of the hardest things for me. I broke several times, and it's an ongoing process. It just isn't the surgery and then everything's fine. You're continuing to have to change your life all the time and make constant changes. And it's all baby steps. If you try to, in my situation, if I tried to take larger steps than I wanted to, that's when I would find failure, and then I would break. Baby steps throughout the entire process was key.
Those baby steps may have made him a shadow of the man he was on the outside, but inside, he's much, much bigger.
He tells us, Roy, you guys inspire me so much to keep moving and moving and moving. I'm like, no, Carlos, you're inspiring us. You have to understand this. What you have done is what very few people can do, and you are inspiring us to be the best at what we do, and you're inspiring others to take that first step in a very, very scary path, right? But he's shown that it's absolutely possible.
I call Carlos my superhero because he is our superhero.
Today, that superhero is jumping fire, splashing into the river, and enduring live fire while crawling through muddy trenches.
The water work was a ton. You saw that jump that we did off the dock and then into the river and then the swim. We've done other ones, and we did one a couple weeks prior to that, but it was nothing like that. This one, the full submersion, the depth of the obstacles, it was difficult, but it was a blast.
The fame of his magazine articles and NBC appearance now have phone calls coming in from around the nation, and Carlos hopes his success can help others as well.
It's a responsibility almost to pay it forward, really. I've been through it. I know what I personally gone through, and if I can share and at least help one person, possibly change your life like I did, it's definitely worth it.
That's it. Don't quit on one prayer.
If you have any questions about bariatric surgery, see our webpage at covenantbariatric.com.